This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with fellow gentlemen. We're glad to say we tracked the main man down, Jay Quiqley. How are you, mate?
All good, lad. All good. Thanks for having me on.
It's 100%. Always say it's a pleasure to have you on. I'm guessing, obviously, at the moment with the Olympics on, you're probably, I know you're at home at the moment, you're probably thinking, what time of the day is it? You know, with early fights and things like that on. But what a show we're having in the Olympics so far.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Irish amateur boxing has always been known to be the standout sport at the Olympic Games, and it's great to see now them guaranteeing bronze medal with Aidan Walsh there this morning. It'll really give a massive boost to the team as well.
Mhm.
And Kurt Walker's amazing one against the world number one is another great confidence booster to the team, not only the boxing team, but to the whole Irish team at the Olympic Games because of, they're all in it together. They're all wearing Team Ireland. They're all carrying the same flag, and it's going to be a massive lift and a massive boost every time someone gets a medal, every time someone achieves, because there's always that type of friendly competitiveness as
Yeah.
well, that you always want to outdo your teammates, but in a good banter kind of way.
Yep.
And I always had that in the national Irish team as well when I was on it. I was very blessed to be in the national team at a very peak time with the likes of myself, Joe Ward, Paddy Barnes, Mike Conlon, John Joe Nevin, all the lads that were going away and achieving great stuff, Katie Taylor. So there was always a banter. A medal was never good enough for the banter. Like, it always nearly
Mhm.
had to be a gold, so you had one over the next person.
Yep.
But no, just going back to the Olympic Games, it's amazing now to see them really kick on and for them really to get the ball rolling. We had a few slip ups early on in the tournament, but now things are really getting rocking, and it's exciting times.
It definitely does. Obviously, I know you obviously never went to the Olympic Games, did you? But it obviously make you sort of go looking back, obviously at it at the moment, with people having success. Like, you were well established as an amateur. I probably run out of room writing the accomplishments you had as an amateur. But does it sort of make you look back and, I know Carl Frampton, obviously probably one of his big regrets was never winning the British title. But do you sort of look back and go, fuck it, I'd love to crack at the Olympics, I'd love to sort of went there and had the atmosphere of it, because it's probably the only thing that was sort of missing in your amateur career was fighting the Olympics.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think the only reason that I continued into amateur boxing for as long as I did was to make the Olympic Games,
Hmm.
and it's always something that I would have loved to have went to the Olympic Games. I've loved to represent Ireland at the Olympics and just get the whole atmosphere and feel for the Olympic Village and the games themselves. But look, it wasn't meant to be for me. I went and I won 3 European gold medals, a world silver medal. I lost count number many times. I have wore the Irish vest and wore it with pride, and gave my absolute all every time I put that vest on me and represented my country. So I feel as if I have done what was done what I had to do as a boxer representing Ireland. I done the best that I possibly could. The opportunity arose for me to turn professional at a time when the Irish boxing was at its peak,
Hmm.
but ready to just fall off the cliff there as well in terms of the Rio Olympics and Billy Walsh's departure, and a massive change in everything in the structure of the national team, the directors, the head, the board, everything along those lines. So I believe that I've made the right decision. I've no regrets. Of course, if I could go back and represent Ireland in the Olympic Games, I would love to have done it, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen, and I don't regret it. But I'm really enjoying supporting all the lads and ladies now that are representing the country at the Olympic Games.
Definitely, and I'd say it's sort of a timing sometimes. I know sometimes if you stay too long in the amateurs, you get so used to the style of amateurs, it's then hard to progress over. So it's finding that balance, and to say with all the accomplishments you have as an amateur, you sort of look at it and you go, well, I've paid my time to sort of the grade, and I've had enough experience that you're ready to go pro.
Yeah, for me, if I could go back into my professional career now and start it all over again, I probably wouldn't have knocked everyone out as quick as I did early on in my
Mhm.
fights. I would have liked to have paced myself a little bit more, settle, relax in the fight, take my time, be a little bit more patient. But a young, hungry Irish fighter, it was hard to do that at my time, and I've learned from that now. I never really went past 3 rounds in my professional career up until maybe my ninth, 10th fight or something along
Yeah.
those lines. So I was still practically boxing as an amateur,
Hmm.
and the caliber of fighters that I were fighting were nowhere near the same level that I was fighting as an amateur. So there was a lot of learning to be done there, but I done a lot of it in sparring. And then obviously I've had my fair share of tough, hard 10 round fights now as a professional. I've probably learned the harder way of
Hmm.
doing it because of my excitement and my ambition to just get in there and knock everyone out early on in my career. But look, as I says, I have no regrets either in that front. I'm happy where I'm at now in my career. I'm looking forward to the future of my career now. I think I'm coming in now to the peak years of my professional boxing career,
Hmm.
and I believe that this is going to be the most exciting and the most successful period of boxing in my life.
Yeah, but it's sort of what's to be is to be sometimes, and you can't change sort of what's happened in your boxing past, but you can obviously help the have a difference in your future in the sport as well.
Yeah, you hear the saying, you either win or you learn,
Hmm.
and sometimes that's very hard to understand as a young fighter, but as a more mature fighter, you really get to grasp that, and you know, if you can have that open mind of learning, improving, trying to be 1% better than you were yesterday, it's a massive step forward in being successful not only in your sport but in life in general. And that's what I try to do in my everyday life, whether I'm in the boxing gym, whether I'm walking about the house. Don't scrub the dishes too much, but anytime I do them, if I could be 1% better than I was yesterday, I'm always improving, and becoming an overall better person in my life. And I think that's what it's all about. It's just getting up every day, not taking anything for granted, being grateful and being blessed for everything that you have in your life,
Hmm.
and just pushing on and giving your absolute all at whatever you do put your hand to.
I think sort of what you say there sort of echoes a lot in life at the moment. It's sort of looking for the positive in everyday life rather than looking for something that could be negative, because obviously the negative spin on it's going to ruin your day. Whereas it's going, let's have a positive day. If you're doing the dishes, if April tells you you're doing the dishes, you're doing the dishes and that's it.
Or
But
it'll be a real negative day after that if you turn that down.
you're looking at it and going, well, at least my hands are going nice and clean. I'm thinking of a positive for it. I better make the bed. It's looking for the positive out of it. And with so much mental health issues in the world nowadays, it's probably a good sentiment to make. It's look for the positives, because the positives outweigh the negative in any scenario. You might be in a bad day, but tomorrow's going to be better.
Yeah, without a doubt, and we have to remember that we're human. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to be thinking negative sometimes. It's okay to have a bad day. It's okay to sit down and cry if you're feeling emotional, if you're feeling upset. It's okay to do these things. I think that's the problem
Hmm.
around mental health, that people are a little bit embarrassed to be down in the dumps. People are a little bit embarrassed to have a cry to themselves. People you know, are embarrassed to speak out about these types of things. But at the end of the day, if this is something that you feel, then that's totally normal.
Yep.
If you feel this going on in your body, then you're totally 100% spot on to let that happen in your body. And the more that you fight it, and the more that you try to shy away from it, and the more that you try to ignore it, the the worse it's going to get, the harder it's going to get, and the bigger the buildup of all those emotions are going to get. So, you just have to you have to be easy on yourself sometimes. Like
Uh,
you have to take care of yourself. If we seen a young child crying, you know, you would go over and you'd comfort that child and you'd be like, "What's wrong with you? You know, it's okay. Don't be worrying about it. Like they might have spilt their milk or spilt their sweets, or it's okay.
mhm.
We can go get more in the shop." Whereas whenever we do this to ourselves, we don't take care of ourselves the same way as we would take care of someone else crying. And I think that that's the key thing that you know, we need to look at. Really need to be kind to ourselves and learn to be kind to ourselves and understand that it's okay to be able to love yourself and treat yourself well.
Yep, definitely. And go to the shop and get your sweets when you need them.
Exactly, exactly.
Um, Sort of, as I always like to do with anybody I sort of bring on as well, always like to go back to the very start because it's so easy to look in the here and now without obviously. I think Connor called on the other week, and I think he was actually come past a gym and heard the music on, and obviously I've got him in the box, and so always like to know, don't know who the demographic are, watch the interviews, but there could be young amateurs, people starting out in the sport, and I guess it's good for them to know why you get involved in the sport and the age and things like that, so they can sort of have a relevance to it. What age did you start out, and why did you start out boxing?
Well, I started boxing when I was 10 years of age, but I think it was around the same time, you know, 9 or 10 years of age when my father is a big influence in boxing on me. You know, he boxed when he was younger as an amateur, and you know, he always had the interest. That's where I obviously picked it up from.
Mm-hmm.
But where it all happened was I remember watching, staying up late, maybe 3, 4 a.m. in the morning to watch Prince Naseem fight Marco Antonio Barrera, and
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love Barrera. Like he's my idol now. Always has been as a boxer. I love the way his cool, calm demeanor outside the ring, but his real ruthlessness whenever he got in through the ropes. Um, that was the first time in my life I ever got goosebumps. You know, sitting up to watch that fight and seeing the performance of Barrera against Nas, who was the king at that time. You know, no
Mm-hmm.
one could touch him. He was knocking everybody out. He was so cocky, so brash, and not in a bad way. I loved him as well. You know, I thought he was class to watch,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I really enjoyed him. But Barrera just it hit home different with his victory, his demeanor, and you know his way he went about things. And that's the reason why I got into boxing was after I watched that fight. I was like, I have to give this a go.
There's so many different stories and things like I remember growing up as a child that you always had your parents always had an influence and sort of being able to get you to be able to defend yourself. I think I was first thing I was sort of done was karate. I know, and I didn't hate it because karate was pretty much non-contact,
Yeah,
and then I think I first initially first went to the gym to start training. The next first time I went in the spar in the gym, I got punched in the nose and I was like, this isn't for me, so I
yeah.
walked away from it. So people are going to take it in different ways, but boxing shows you so much in life, like confidence, having respect and things like that. Did you find any struggles in your early times in your amateur career of sort of getting used to getting punched in the face or finding respect and things like that? Did boxing always sort of teach you these things very early on?
Yeah, well, like very early on in my career, you know, I was stopping everybody. Like, you know, it was the start of my amateur career was kind of like the start of my professional career. I was just going in there and I was stopping everybody. All the Donegal championships, the Northwest championships, Ulsters. I was just going in there. I think my first maybe 10 fights, I might have stopped everyone. Um, and then I got obviously into the national championships, and that's when I started going the distance. But you know, I won the All Irelands. I actually beat Emmett Brennan in my
Mm-hmm.
All Ireland final, and my first year, boy won 36 kgs. I won the second year, boy two won it, boy three won it. So I really had a very successful start into amateur boxing, and then I suppose when I was 11, 12, 13, yeah, 14 years of age, I kind of had my first real hard defeat in the national championships, and can't even remember actually who that was against, but it'll come to me. But I remember getting beat in that, and you know, that was a real kick in the teeth, and it was a real something that affected me because I was just so used to winning.
Mm-hmm.
and I was so used just, but it was a great learner for me. I actually lost then the following year as well. Davy Joe Joyce from St Michael's the Thigh was the lad that beat me. He beat
Mm-hmm.
me in the boy four and the youth ones, and then after that, then there's no stopping me. I had two great learner defeats there, and yeah, after that, there was no stopping me. But trying to manage and control defeat was something that I found difficult to master early on in my career.
And there's so much focus nowadays. You obviously look at Floyd and the likes of that, where people look at Floyd Mayweather, obviously going his whole career undefeated as a pro, and so many of the amateur boxers nowadays will look at it and they think it's not okay to lose. So it's whenever they do have a loss, because it's going to happen at some stage, whether it's amateur or pro, that they need to be able to learn from it, and whether it's just that they didn't prepare properly or just beaten by the better person on the night. It's, as I say, it just sort of goes back to life. It's okay to lose, but as what's happened with you, is you learn from it. You knew it was like the taste defeat, and you're going, I don't want this to happen again. So I'm going to make sure I do everything right. Whether it's just the case you're beaten with a better person tonight, judges, whatever, you're going to correct it the next time. And it meant you had to stop them the next time to get the decision. That's what had to happen.
Yeah, like you just need to go back, and it's something as well that tests you in terms of, is this what you really want in life? We all come to these stages in our life, no matter what it is. Like if it's a job you're in, or if it's a sport that you're doing, you get defeated, or you're not getting that promotion in a job that you want. Um, you sit back and think, do I really want to go through all this again? Like, do I really want to? Is this for me? And it's okay if this isn't for you, because it's going to push you away into something that is for you, and something that you're going to enjoy better, and something that you're going to excel at. So obviously for me, I had all those questions. I was like, do I even want to box anymore? Like making weight and training all the time, missing birthdays, confirmations, family events, everything. All this kind of stuff. You're sitting back thinking, is this all worth it? But obviously, I says yes, it was worth it, and I'm still here doing it, and still here loving every minute of it, the ups and the downs of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's you just have to really ask yourself these questions sometimes, and be honest with yourself.
Definitely is. And like you obviously fought in the World Series of Boxing as well. You had two fights. From what I can see from BoxRec, I know BoxRec's never 100%, but it looks like you had two fights for the LA Matadors in 2011. It seems to be obviously with the pandemic and things that the World Series of Boxing seems to be going away, because it seemed to be the bridge between amateur and pro boxing more recently. How did you find that sort of going over in the World Series? I think that was pretty much the start, if I'm right in thinking, would that have been the start of the World Series of Boxing?
Yeah, I think that was. I think it might have went 1 year before that, and then that was the second year that they done it. Yeah, I loved it. It was my first trip to America. It wasn't my first trip to America, so it was my first trip to Los Angeles, and I met a lot of great people over there. Had a great experience, and I had my two fights for the LA Matadors. First fight without a headgear. I remember waking up the next day. It was a strange feeling, because anytime as an amateur, if you go away and want to fight, you getting ready to fly home and celebrate, or you won the national championships, your family and everyone's always there. But I was over in America. I was living in an apartment with an American lad and two Ukrainian fellas, and you're waking up the next morning, nobody really gives a shit about you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just concentrated on themselves, and you're waking up. And I remember having lumps on my head from no headgear. I was like, oh Jesus, I was stiff, I was sore. I was like, oh geez, that was a lot tighter than I thought it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it was a great experience. I loved it. Then my second fight, then I boxed a lad, I think from Australia in Bangkok, the Thailand team it was, and I remember I knocked him out, so I did. So it wasn't as sore on me. But yeah, that's where I had the link then to a few people in LA, and that's kind of what brought me back out there then for my professional career.
And is that sort of how the link up went with Golden Boy then? Was it more from the World Series, or was it because of what you done as and all the success you had as an amateur? Was it sort of,
Yeah,
was that what broke the ground and you going to America then? Was it?
Yeah, well, they definitely was interested in me from the Matadors from the World Series, but then obviously what I went on and done then in the senior level, the elites and the European gold, world silver medal, national champion, that really brought the attention, brought me to Golden Boy, Top Rank, all those guys' attention, and yeah, we had the contacts out there as well, so we went out there, trained for a bit, had a meeting with a few managements, a few promoters, and yeah, we came away then with Sheer Sports and Golden Boy Promotions.
Yep, and like as I was sort of saying to you before we started, when I sort of look at your amateur career and things like that, even at times probably you might even well you'll not forget the occasions, but you know turning pro in 2014 and your debut, like when you probably look back in your career at the end of your career, you debuted in Canelo Lara, like look where Canelo's sort of went to now, he's sort of the shining light of boxing, makes the most money of anybody. But they obviously make your debut in that card and in the MGM Grand as well. You
Yeah,
probably couldn't
well,
ask for better.
I was saying the reason that I started boxing was watching Marco Antonio Barrera versus Prince Naseem, and that fight was actually in the MGM Grand. And you see them walking into the arena. They're backstage first, and then the big golden lion is up on the wall, and it says MGM Grand. And I remember seeing that as a kid, and then I remember making that walk myself and looking up and seeing that sign. It was yeah, it was something special. So it was an unbelievable experience to have the whole grand arrivals, media workout, press conferences, all along those lines. It was a special moment, like for sure, to make your professional debut there. And I think I knocked the guy out in like 86 seconds or something. As I says, I wish I had embraced the moment a little bit more, moved around, relaxed, been a bit more patient, pick a few shots, and take him out in a couple of rounds instead. But look, as I says, I went in there, got the job done, exploded onto the professional scene like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was great, great experience, and something that I'll always remember.
Definitely, as I say, it's always the wee things you look back on, on that, and I guess it sort of made you think as well. You've made the right decision when obviously when you were watching Blair as a kid, and then you're now in the same venue, you're going, I've made the right choice in here to sign with because look where I'm at.
He actually, my second fight then on a Canelo card was Canelo Can in
Mm-hmm.
the T-Mobile Arena, and Marco Antonio Barrera was commentating on my fight for a Mexican channel. So, I got my picture and all with him, and Robert Diaz, a great friend of mine from Golden Boy, he was actually the manager for a couple of years of Marco Antonio Barrera and has a great close relationship with him. So he set it up that we meet up with each other. We had a chat and a few pictures, and it was unbelievable to meet the man that made you start boxing. Really,
Yep.
it was another special moment.
I'm sure you were sort of at the minute started going, can't believe it, I'm here, like obviously you're now a fully established pro boxer, but you'd have no shame in sort of going, I feel like a schoolboy sort of, it's like, can I have your autograph? Can I have your picture?
Oh, exactly,
You know?
exactly. That's the way it was, and no matter what I go on and do in boxing, if I become the most successful boxer ever, I'll always be that type of person. If I meet Barrera or if I meet whoever it is that inspired me as a kid or has inspired me at the minute in my career, I'll always meet them and be grateful to meet them, want the picture, want the autograph, and have all those things.
It definitely is. And like obviously as you're saying, your first eight fights, always stoppage. When you sort of look back on it now, it probably stopped you from getting fights. But obviously you couldn't have made a better statement coming into the sport. And it gets to the stage where they're going, Jay Quiqley, 8-0, eight stoppage wins. Who's next? Sort of, that we're seeing fighters like I think is it Berlinga, I think is it the minute's coming through. I think he's like 17 wins, but 16 of them are I think he had like 16 first round
All in
stoppages.
this. Yeah, it can make for interesting matchmaking, and it can really put you maybe levels above where you're actually at in your career. But yeah, look, as I said, I wouldn't change anything. I'm starting to learn from all those things now, and it was great to get that explosive start and to ride that train, I suppose, of knocking everyone out early on and having that confidence in yourself. So yeah, look, I enjoyed every minute of it. It was great crack and great fun, great experiences, and pushing on now to the next stage of my career.
Yep, and like your 11th fight, you sort of said the Canelo Can card. You fought obviously James De La Rosa, and I think it was the first. I think it was your 11th fight. Was the first time you've been past 4 rounds. I think, from memory, from obviously looking. But it seemed to be a fight you just came through in flying colours, and it was like, where's the next step? It must have been a matchmaker's dream early on, because no matter who they give you, you dealt with it, and you were sort of going, give me somebody that's stronger, that's going to give me the rounds, because obviously around comes your development into the pros as
Yeah,
well.
well, like I never really turned anyone down in my career. Whoever my opponent or whoever my team came to me with, I was like, "Yep, let's do it. Let's rock and roll." So yeah, that's the type of fighter that I just want to get in there and be the best version that I can be, and climb that ladder to becoming a world champion.
And you also got the fight on Bernard Hopkins' last fight as a professional as well. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah, I boxed on his card as well. That was actually in the Forum in Los Angeles. That's another historic venue. Like that's where the LA Lakers used to play. That's where I went to concert to Drake, Kanye West. All these lads have been there and performed there, and that's another one that I have performed in as well. And that was meant to be a real big step up fight for me as well. I boxed. What the hell?
I never even wrote down the opponent for that one. I'll have to go
He
back
was,
to it.
I think he was a Puerto Rican lad, and he was tough, durable lad, and I banged him out in the first round. So it was, yeah,
Was
it
it
was.
George Melendez? Was it
Sorry, oh, Jorge
Jorge?
Melendez.
Yeah,
Jorge Melendez, yeah, yeah, that was him. Jorge Melendez. He's a tough operator, solid. Good, durable fighter, and he was one that was meant to take me a few rounds, and I banged him out of there inside first round. So, as it says, would have been great to get the rounds in there, gain that experience. But once you see a man hurt, you can't not just get in there and take him out fully, like.
exactly. Because if you let him recover, he's only going to come back and do the same in you, and there'll be no mercy. It'll be like, I can't judge this again. Sort of, yeah, that was, I actually had it written down, 28 stoppage wins, 28 stoppages from 30 wins, and you dropped them 3 times in the first round. You just weren't having any danger with them at all.
Oh, I know there was no hanging about there, as it says. I heard him kind of early on, and I seen it in his eyes, like he was just kind of caught in the headlights a wee bit, and I knew he was a dangerous opponent as well. So when I got the chance to get him out of there, I was like, right, let's do this, and I just went at him, and I did put him down the third time, but his corner also threw in the towel as well.
Yeah, they were fed up with it then. And then obviously then you had your first title fight. You fought for the WBC, I think it's North American Boxing
Yeah,
Federation title. So obviously against Glenn Tapia. But I guess and obviously it was getting to the stage where you were a pro, into your 11th, 12th fight, and you still hadn't a belt. Were you sort of getting to the stage of going, when's my first title going to come? Was that ever a thought
yeah,
process?
that's what I want. I think every boxer that turns pro wants a belt. That's kind of the collection that you want to get as a professional boxer. And yeah, that was Golden Boy's first show on ESPN as well. They did a big deal with ESPN, and I was the headline fight opening that up, and against Glenn Tappy, who was a great fighter as well, has been in with some great top fighters. Um, yeah, it was a great fight. Apart from I broke my hand in the second round of that fight, and ended up going the distance, 10 rounds, and I won. Comfortably enough. I think 8 out of the 10 rounds I won in that fight with a broken hand. So it was another memorable fight for me in different ways. But yeah, it was one that I look back on, and I've really learned from and enjoyed it as well.
And it's like when you're saying there, because I wasn't even aware. I know you had 12 months in activity afterwards. So that was sort of next question. I was going to say what was going on. Obviously, you broke your hand. Um, from you breaking your hand in the second round, you still keep going. You know, obviously is the adrenaline kicking. You don't feel it, or obviously do you know that you sort of can't fully commit to the punch? Like it takes a serious set of cojones to sort of keep going with the damage you've done. I know Frampton broke his hand during a fight, Obviously, he had fractured it before, but obviously you're not going to hold it in the same way. And it's like, if I show any weakness to my opponent, he's going to know my hand's broke. He's going to go for me more. So there's always a lot of plays into that.
Well, like I knew, like I had really damaged it. I knew it was really sore, and I couldn't really throw it. I tried throwing it a few times, but it was just half-hearted throwing it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but then obviously in the heat of battle with the adrenaline and everything going, I think it was the fifth or sixth round. I just heat of battle, bang! I let it go again through the right hand, and it was twice as sore as the first time I threw it.
Mm-hmm.
So I broke the hand, broke the bone here, and I tore my tendon in here as well. And it was like a 1 in a million injury. It was a hand specialist in Cedar Sinai in Los Angeles that done the operation on me. He's worked with Manny Pacquiao and all those guys as well, and he says he's never seen anything like this here. He says that was just unbelievable how you break the hand, rupture or tore the tendon and everything at the same time. But look, as this is, it happened in the fight. I just adapted, started using my jab. I'm lucky that I'm more of a boxer than a fighter, because if I was more of a fighter, I would have probably been stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I mightn't have been able to get through that fight. Whereas I was a boxer, I was able to move on my feet. I was able to slip the punches, let my jab go, dictate the fight with my jab, and that's what won me the fight then.
And obviously, it's another experience, because let's face it, you could have a scenario like this in the future again, where you could be in a fight and you do damage to your hand. So you've learned from that. You know how to get past it. I think when Frampton done it in America, I think he said that he stopped punching to the head and punched to the body instead, because obviously the head's like punching brick. So
Yeah.
he then decided obviously he was going to go to the body instead because it was softer. So it's then wee things you sort of learn that can help you in other fights.
Yeah, without a doubt, I kind of just stopped throwing it completely, just use my jab, because Tape was a strong come forward fighter. And I just used everything, kept my distance with the jab, and dictated the fight with my jab. So that's what works for me. And hopefully it never happens again, but at least I know that that worked for me before. So I'll probably do that again if it ever does happen.
It definitely does. And like, obviously, of your 20 fights you've had so far as a pro, you've only had one outside of America. Um, is it sort of now where you're getting to the stage where you're 30, that you maybe want to have fights in Ireland, or big fights? Obviously, but the zone's big deal now, being all over, you know. And obviously, I know your last fight was on the zone. Is there maybe obviously the potential there of sort of getting fights closer to home? I think you fought in the Copper Box Arena.
Yeah, copper box and in England, so I did. It was yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. The zone now have really taken over the boxing game, and I'm obviously with Golden Boy and Matchroom are doing good things with Golden Boy at the minute. So it'll be great for me to get on those shows a little bit closer to home. That's what I want. I want to get fighting close to home. I want to get fighting on the zone. It's the biggest platform now at the minute in boxing, and that's where I want to get fighting. That's the fights where I want to be on.
Mm.
And I'm excited and looking forward to that now. And my team, Golden Boy and the Zone, are going to be doing great work together. So looking forward to things getting put in place for me now and get my next fight ready, hopefully the end of September.
And there was, I think, last year, there was obviously the potential of you fighting Jack Cullen, but at that stage, I think it was looking like you were going to be fighting Canelo. So obviously a fight that was going to bring you back to the UK because of the Canelo thing. It was only right that you weren't going to fight Jack Cullen, because fighting Canelo, it's like, they want to go and swim with dolphins, or they want to swim with sharks.
Yeah, exactly. So it was, for me, I was excited, really looking forward to the Jack Cullen fight. It would have been a great fight. It would have been an entertaining fight. A lot of people were asking for it. A lot of people were excited about it. But then obviously I got the call from my team that I was a possible opponent for Canelo. So I had to, focus on that there. It could have been the biggest fight of my life. And it was worth the risk, you know, that possibly coming off, even though it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was still great to be involved in that, and my name is there now, and hopefully it'll be one that's pulled out of the hat again for a possible fight with Canelo. And I gotta just keep getting into the ring now, keep winning, keep improving, keep putting on good performances, and all those things will fall into place.
And I guess even been mentioned, obviously, been in the running as an opponent, obviously for for social media and things like that, your name's been talked about more in other conversations. And, I guess when you probably, in hindsight, sort of look at Canelo, I guess you want to be well prepared. We've seen obviously, what he's been doing to opponents recently, and you're sort of going, but how do you prepare for somebody like Canelo? Only you'll know of your talents and what you can do in the ring. But it's probably getting the right fights now in case the Canelo fight comes up, so you're well prepared for it.
Yeah, I just wanna get in there now. I wanna fight the fight that's gonna get me into that world title contention. And there's big talks of me fighting Bobo Andrade as well. I'd be more than happy to take that fight right away. If that becomes available, let's go, let's rock and roll. He's an East Coast fighter from America, and everyone knows what the East Coast in America is like for the Irish. New York, Boston, packed house wherever you go. So I think that's a massive fight that can be made and should be made. Whether it happens in my next fight or whether it doesn't, I'm going to get back into the ring hopefully at the end of September, October time. Get in there, get ready to rock and roll, keep the ball rolling now, keep improving, keep progressing, and get ready to lift the world title very, very shortly.
And I'm sure, like obviously, when you look at Andrade's fight with Ian Williams, you probably would take more confidence from that fight, knowing that it was sort of after about 4 rounds, Andrade was sort of blowing a gasket, and probably just maybe Liam Williams just a bit short and sort of close combat, where he could have done more damage and probably be the world champion now.
Yeah, Liam really put it up to him. Andrade is a class act. I remember watching him in the World Championships as an amateur in Chicago, and just thinking he was unbelievable. He was really, really top class. And for me now to be on the verge of maybe fighting him as well for the world title is something I never really thought would happen. Watching them all back then, if you had told me that in the future, I'd be like, geez, that'd be unbelievable. But it is here now. It's a very big possibility, and fingers crossed it can happen. So, we just have to stay ready, stay on top of things, and grab the opportunity when it comes.
Definitely. As I sort of want to go back a wee bit, obviously the Toronto Johnson defeat. Obviously, you've experienced defeat as an amateur. You've obviously now experienced defeat as a pro. Was it harder as a pro losing for the first time than it was from an amateur? Was it just easily sort of digest and rebuild from?
It was a weird one, I wasn't injured, I wasn't sick, I wasn't unwell, there was nothing wrong at all. Whatever happened on the night, I just wasn't me whatsoever. I wasn't all there in the fight. I wasn't present. It was weird. It was weird, and I kind of took comfort in that, because if I had went in there against Toronto Johnson, gave it my absolute all, and he did what he did to me, I'd be coming away thinking, where do I go from here? There's nothing going to happen for me in professional boxing. Whereas I know that was probably 20% the boxer that I really am. You know what I mean? And I came away from that fight obviously very disappointed and gutted with the decision and with the performance. But I looked at it in terms of that isn't really me. There's a lot more in me than that there. So, I didn't forget about that fight. I looked at things that were wrong. I changed them. I looked at things that could improve me. I've changed that, and everything's going well now. Obviously, I changed in working with Andy Lee, which is amazing. Me and Andy get on great. We have very similar thoughts and similar stages in our career as well. The likes of whenever I got beat by Turiano, he got beat by Brian Vera, and he had to kind of rebuild and grow from that there. And look what he went on and done. So, what better man to have gained your career than someone that has been in your position and went on to win a world title from it. So everything's going great with Andy. I'm really excited with that link up and really enjoying that link up. We're getting on the best. We're working and training very hard in the gym, and we're excited to get back in the ring ASAP.
I'm just wondering if you can see my questions, because it was the next one I had on my list was obviously working with Andy. But obviously, Andy's been obviously a world champion boxer. Obviously, now he's obviously linked up with the zone and stuff as well. So it's going to be giving some more people his knowledge. I guess obviously I'll not always give his full knowledge out, because that's for you as his fighter. So he doesn't want an opponent thinking of how his mind works and preparing you for a fight. So he maybe throw the wee curveball in for maybe Andrade or Castano or Charlo, whoever it could be, to think that
Yeah,
you can
Andy's a
think he's doing
very
this, but it's different.
yeah, Andy's very smart and intelligent man. Anybody that listens to him knows that. He's a great analyst on boxing as well. So he's a great boxing IQ, and Andy will say the right things and do the right things when needs be.
Yep, and obviously, Joe Parker, obviously in the setup there as well. Have you spent much time around Joe since he's?
Me and Joe, you would swear, have known each other all our lives now. It was kind of a relationship that just sparked right away. Two of us got on brilliantly. We haven't seen him now in a while. Obviously, he was out in Vegas and I was back home after my fight, but we're in touch very regularly, seeing how we're getting on and looking forward to catching up with each other again back in the gym whenever we're both back in there.
It definitely is, and obviously your last fight, you were able to call in another legend of Irish boxing, and Wayne McCulloch. They help out. I know I think there visa problems with Andy getting out to America, but what an understudy in Wayne they have in your corner.
Yeah, like from having an Olympian and a world champion professional boxer in Andy to getting another Olympian and a world professional boxing champion in Wayne stepping into my corner has been unbelievable. Just to have that Irishness, like you can get all the best trainers in the world, but you need someone that knows you, knows your banter, knows your crack, knows your personality, the way that you go on. And, Wayne knew all that there. I was actually good friends with Wayne years before that. He walked me out to one of my fights as LA Matadors whenever I was over there. And we kept in contact ever since. I moved to LA then. He only lived 15, 20 minutes away from me, would meet up for coffee. So it was a great link up. It was a no-brainer. And having Wayne there was unbelievable. He was just a great positive influence on the camp. And, it was a pleasure to have him there around the camp. And, who knows, we might have him in future fights as well.
And we actually done our takeover on Instagram last week, and I think after the Olympics is over, we're obviously going to get him on for a chat. But 26 years ago today, he became a world champion. Out in Japan. It's this is probably the day for Irish boxing. 5 years ago today, Frampton beat Santa Cruz.
Yeah,
26 years ago today, Wayne McCulloch become a world champion, and obviously Aidan Walsh become an Olympic medalist. So it seems to be that the 30th of July seems to be the day to do things.
It's must get a fight penciled in for that against not another Irish fighter now in case he gets the. But yeah, no, definitely.
Definitely is. And obviously, I think I've asked you this question before we started, so I think you'll sort of know what's coming. Is your boxing been the toughest decision you've sort of had to plan or prepare for? Or obviously getting the confidence to propose to April?
That was the hardest fight of my life. Well, it could still be the hardest fight of my life.
Yep.
No, look, it was me and April have been together a long time now, and I think it was lockdown that really, helped me pause in life and realize where I was at. I was 30 years, coming 30 years of age, and with boxing always being so busy, you're always thinking, oh yeah, I'll get married, I'll have kids, I'll do all that crack in the future, like, you know what I mean? But then I was kind of sitting there, and anybody that gets through lockdown with your other half, I think you all should get married, because it's not easy. If you can get through a year and a half of lockdown together, I think everybody should get down to one knee and get the proposal on. But yeah, look, it was great. It was something that I've always wanted to get married. Like, I always have wanted that. I just never really set a time or a date on it, or something. Right, I'm going to do this or this. It was just lockdown gave me the time and gave me the space of it. And then I kind of had to wait till late lockdown as well, because I needed to get a ring and all the jewelers were closed.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of waiting away then and trying to plan things out. And you couldn't really plan anything too special because everywhere was closed and locked up. But whenever things opened up a bit, we got down to Killarney down in Kerry for a night. We went into we actually went to a fine dining restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
and probably never do it again. Like, because like don't even know, read the menu. I don't even know what half of it means, and it's just just give me some spuds and chicken and a bit of gravy or something like.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went to a lovely. It was beautiful. Now it was beautiful. Just not something that I'm familiar with. But we went to a fine dining restaurant, and yeah, I got down on one knee in the restaurant, and it's actually a funny story. Before she said yes, she actually told me to get up. She was that shocked and embarrassed. She was like, "Get up!" And I was like, "Yes, yes, get up, get up." So it was, yeah, it was good. You know, we're very happy, the three of us, me, April, and Sierra, and you know we're having a lovely life together, and you know it's now moved on to the next stage of our relationship together as well, and you know looking forward to the years ahead.
And I'm guessing when it comes to whenever you're going to plan for the big day and stuff, April, you just decided already, April, you're doing it all because it's a woman's job at the end of the day now, isn't it?
100%. Our job is to ask the woman to marry me, and that there has been ticked. So you work away now, bother away with everything else, and I'll show up on the day.
Just make sure you polished your shoes.
Exactly, exactly.
Obviously, you've obviously a big love of football and Gaelic. That obviously you have much of your life, and you know, being from Donegal as well, it's obviously well, Ballybuffet, Donegal sort of direction. It's something that's never going to leave you. Do you still try and play bits when you're not in camp?
Actually, after the Toriano defeat, I actually went back, and that summer I went back and started playing hurling and Gaelic for my local club. So I did, and I loved
Mm-hmm.
every minute. It was something that you never get to do, and I probably like if Oscar or Golden Boy, if anybody had found out that I was playing hurling, like they might have been about like, here, be careful, look, you know, I don't
Yeah.
want you getting injured now or anything. But yeah, look, it was great to do that, and I love GA, I love soccer, I love it all as well, and you know I played a lot of it as a kid, but don't get to play much of it now. Obviously, that was the first time since I was about 15, so that'd have been like 15 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. No, well, it would have been about 13 years ago at that stage was the last time I played any hurling or Gaelic. But anytime I get the chance, I play a bit of five-a-side AstroTurf football back here with the lads and everything in my downtime. I enjoy that as well.
Just making sure you don't do too much. I Brett McGinty on, and he was actually, I think he'd actually one of his finals, and when he was still playing football, and he's going, when he thinks back on it now, what if he'd injured himself playing football? He then couldn't fight in his final, you know. So I guess it's then we think sometimes that you leave behind in life for your career in boxing, you know, but you'll still stay close to it and everything else.
Of course, without a doubt. But you need to find a balance too, you know. Like you need to. We get inspiring like every night of the week as well. So the chance of you getting injured in that, and the chance of you getting injured in a football pitch, I think boxing's a little bit higher up in that category. Like so, you know, there's no harm in finding a nice balance as well, and you know, you have to enjoy your life too, and you have to do things that make you happy. And if playing a bit of five-a-side football's that, then there's no harm in doing it. You know.
It definitely is. I have one more question, obviously, and then I think that's us. So, obviously, we having a lot of your fights in America. Is it obviously still your dream to have a big fight in Ireland? And if so, where would, you know, if you're thinking the scenario, where would the venue be and who would the opponent?
Yeah, without a doubt. You know, look, dream wish list is, you know, you would love think you'd love Croke Park against Canelo Alvarez. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is, you know, whether that would ever be possible to happen, I might as well put it out there now, and let it maybe manifest itself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, in Croke Park against Canelo Alvarez, defending a world title or fighting for the world title would be the dream. You know, that would be on the wish list for sure. Also up here in McCool Park as well, in Ballybuffet where Donegal play. I
Mm-hmm.
would happily love that venue as much as Croke Park because it means a lot more to me than Croke Park would.
Yep.
That fight up here in McCool Park would be unbelievable as well against anybody for a world title.
I think obviously I know that Derry City Promotions have also been trying to get boxing back in the Derry and stuff the last year or so. Um, And I think with everything going on, I think because of the outside radius of Belfast, I think there was a lot of planning and stuff. But if you get a massive fight in that nature, happy days, you know. But Canelo probably looks Irish as well, so you know, technically been all Irish clash.
They'll think he's more Irish than me, so they will be like, geez, there's Quiqley, and there'll be Canelo walking in.
But like now his English has improved. Obviously, him and Andrade, obviously the thing afterwards where the English was coming out and you're going, where did this come from? Him coming over here, the next thing you have an Irish accent, you're going, what can Canelo not do?
He'll be flying in, won't he? He'll be flying in, so he will.
He definitely will. We obviously like to leave it as well. Obviously, you probably would never got to the stage you've got in your career without people being involved in sponsorship. A lot of the people we do interviews with aren't to the level of you've been and having the sort of the big things, but sponsorship's still important. Obviously, I'm not sure who your sponsors are, anything like that. But is there anybody you'd like to shout out for sponsorship?
Yeah, like firstly, the biggest kind of sponsors that don't realise that they are is your family. You know, I really want to thank my family for everything that they've done for me throughout my career so far, and sticking by me through all the hard times and the good times. And then obviously my legitimate sponsors. Then I have Ladbrokes, who are a sponsor of mine. I have Shane Conley cars that are local here. They sponsor a car for me as well over the last 3-4 years. And then we have the local hotel as well, who's a big sponsor of mine. Tommy Gallen and family is the Villa Rose Hotel and Jackson's Hotel, who recently just bought a new hotel in Donegal. What's it called? The Courage, I think, hotel it is. And just want to wish them all the very best on their new hotel as well. And anybody that has, you know, the list is endless, the amount of people that helps you along your career. But Everlast as well, you know, they've been a massive help along the way. My team, Golden Boy, my management team, Sheer Sports. And I have the recent title here that I won. Look, I have right here, so I do.
Fantastic.
Just stepping up there.
You had that well prepared for the interview today?
I seen her sitting there whenever we came on. I was like, Jesus, they'll think I've this all planned out now, so they will. So hopefully, next time I'm chatting to you, next time I see you, instead of saying WBO, NABO middleweight champion, it'll say the world champion on that belt. So fingers crossed.
And it'll be more so than deserved, and obviously what you've accomplished so far. I missed one question. Actually, after your last fight, you actually had a homecoming sort of in Ballybuffet as well. How did that feel? Did you feel like a hero sort of? Did it feel odd?
It was unbelievable because it was kind of just at the end of lockdown and people were kind of back out in the streets. People were smiling, people were cheering, people had something to celebrate and be happy about. It was very emotional. So it was for a lot of people, because we had such a difficult year and a half of nowhere being open, nobody being about the town, the place being dead quiet. It was unbelievable. So it was all the local schools and everything had all come out onto the streets, and they had all their banners and signs made. It was unbelievable. It really, really was. And you know, it was a really grateful moment and a blessed moment to experience.
It'll definitely give you a taste of what's to come whenever you're bringing a world title home, and when nearly everybody ever's lived in a house will be there in some
without a doubt, definitely.
But Jay, look, obviously thank you for coming on, having a chat with us. Obviously it's great to hear some of the insight and on so much of the positive nature surrounds you and yourself, and hopefully, fingers crossed, when you do get your fight news for September, October time, maybe Bobo might decide that he's been able to find the pen and get it on.
Let's rock and roll, Bobo.
Definitely has. But listen, thanks very much once again, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon.
Thanks for having me, Steve. Keep up a great work, lad. Talk to you soon.
Cheers, Jay. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.